I've been the project leader for the project eSpinn that I will present here. And my background is 30 years at Umeå University, and now I'm a concept and business developer in a private company and work a lot project leading, project management, and different things around that. So this was a project we be running in a smaller city in Västernorrland called Örnsköldsvik, and later on we did a collaboration with the Kommunförbundet Västernorrland with a project called eCoop. And it's something that will show the ambition. And it's about rural areas or sparsely populated areas as well, which we have up here in northern Sweden. And what we had a project together with other people called the How to Get the Power to the People using new technology and bridging the digital divide that exists on different places on the world, and trying to find a digital agenda worth the name that very tightly populated urban centers. So that's a problem that we have to address through this one. eSpinn, it's, as I told you, eServices where you are, and how communication wherever you live to all devices you can find, computers, laptops, to enable a society to grow in solidarity, which will increase quality of life and create a better confidence, and to really promote the region as well. And I think you know about this local authorities in Västernorrland, but it's basically problem is around large rural and sparsely populated areas, and need a lot of support for that. Another background is another project that we was running during the title E-Power for the People. Sparsely populated areas. And Örnsköldsvik is a city with 55,000 inhabitants, where 40,000 live in the municipal center, and the rest, 15,000, lives in mostly the 6,000 square kilometers. That gives around 4 per square kilometers. It's a very sparsely populated. We had a spin-off called the Inlandet Corporation that was dealing with the problem for the sparsely populated rural area and the countryside. And we was also working with another municipal project called the UrbanRural Balance, trying to level out the differences between the urban area and the rural area, with a difference in internet connections, the bandwidth, and so on. And what we had started with, there was an online community called the Inlandet.se. We had what we call the e-mall, a gallery on the web, not a web shop, but many shops in the same place that you can walk in, and the ambition was to make it 3D. We set up a new process called the co-design innovation process, where we mixed people of different local politicians and stuff like that, and had them in groups and talked about problems. We started out with a problem, set up what we tested that on people, and we set up what we call the service points, places in small villages, and where people could meet, they could use the internet, or they could shop at the same time. Started out with what's called the ISI, the citizen-centric service, e-service for sparsely populated areas. In parallel, before that was finished, we started a project called the UrbanRural Balance. And on those two, we built the eSpinn project. And as I said, the main problem is the sparsely populated areas, and we need extended high-speed IT infrastructure to be able to digital services and to make it leveling the urban and the rural area. And the eSpinn was a short an acronym for eService Platform in and extend or build up the IT. We had a focus on rural enterprises, quality, attractiveness. People get raised confidence, and then they start to doing things that we haven't done before. Set up a lot of service points around the inland as well.
Okay, now I'm talking. Anybody hear me? Okay, cool. Hope I don't drop out this time. I wasn't a high school dropout or anything like that, but I think I don't want to be a sound dropout. Anyway, okay. As I recently said, the county of Västernorrland has a large part of it is sparsely populated area, and we need extended high-speed IT infrastructure for improved service provision, because you need enough bandwidth to let people get to really reach the services and be able to use them full out. And the eSpinn was about building a platform for apps and eServices, as well as building up the IT infrastructure, and we focused on village network, and I come to that later. So what we need was improved needs-driven social services. Actually, not coming up with services by ourselves, because building them on what people really needed. So we need to talk to people and in different areas and in different professions and in different for different ambitions. We need effective public-private partnerships. I mean, it's just not working with the municipality, but also working with private companies. We found it was very important. We need a simplified communication between individuals and local government. And that's the only way to do that actually was through e-services for smartphones and tablets or computers as well. And attitude change. You need to change attitude by politicians, policymakers, businessmen and individuals, and all people really that you need to reach. Just about how using digital technology and make that work, because if you have the wrong attitude, nothing works. So that's a really what you could call a soft result that's really important. You have to bear that in mind. Whatever you do, you need to change attitudes, and that takes time. And time and time. And so if you think the project will take 1 year, you should estimate it take 3 years instead before you reach out. And then you have to transfer results out there as well. As I said, it was based on the project ISI, as I mentioned, and this we had this company as well, spin-off company, Inlandet AB, and we had the project UrbanRural Balance. We are trying to promote collaborative community service development, especially in rural areas, to make the countryside grow and a future well-functioning countryside. And that by doing a platform with a database, responsive web portal for input, and information interface, and we tried to make an e-service engine as well that you could develop and connect e-service and distribute them over the platform. And it should enable local actors and citizens to advertise upcoming events, tourist activities. Because when we asked them in the beginning, the first project, ISI, what do they like? We had ambitions to do some kind of fancy thing. Sorry, punning, what's the name? Purchasing or but that's really to do a system for that, to help small companies to go together and do that. But they looked us in the eyes and said, well, we don't need that. What we need was a system where we can see what's happening around the countryside, and just the countryside, not the city, because we need to know that we don't compete with each other, so we can have our events or things that we will do and do it collaboratively instead of competing. And we used local-based information, maps, graphics, and we had apps. We make one for the Apple and for the Android with shared calendars for local events, attraction, tourist info, and stuff like that. Places for local interaction, where everyone could submit information, everyone that would like to do that. We can here see the outcomes was exactly that as well, the apps, both in Swedish and an English version, and it's easy to adapt to whatever language you need. You need to put a new language database and check some parameters, but then you can run it. We had this kind of 7 or 8 village high-speed fiber networks. And we had this before from the ISI project. We had the e-mall that we could make better in this project as well. You see a small graph there, just about telling you how it was built up. I'm really putting this forward all the time. Excellent high bandwidth. It's not just the bandwidth we need enough bandwidth to make things work, because if you have a service or an app that just works sometimes, people stop using it. So we had more than 100, at least we tried to set up 100 megabits per second to the fiber. We used both the actors on the rural in the rural areas and the citizens to really take up the problems and trying to listen to them. And as somebody was asking about education, when we came with this fancy stuff and they took us down to earth and said, we don't need that, we need this instead, we realized that we need to have educate them in how to use digital technology and digital services. So there was a lot of which we didn't expect when we started. We needed to do a lot of education for the people, for the potential users. We try also to develop a regional digital agenda, but that's just, we started doing that, but it just become an embryo, so it needs to be more developed actually. We took this model of the innovation model, the co-design iterative innovation model, a step further, involving a lot of people, a lot of workshops, a lot of talk before we started doing things, which was good. It's about attitude change, and it's about viral marketing as well, word of mouth and stuff like that, what's going on here. We were stimulating collaboration between local actors and local authorities. This is a schematic picture of the innovation process. We set up define the problem, and we would like to ask them, people, what would you like to have? And from that we set what we call a should-be image, a future ideal scenario. And then we tested that on them, and then they said, this is not good enough. Then we took it a step further and did that circle enough times until people said, this is okay. And then we tried to implement that. So it was really user-driven. It was citizen-involved and actors in all kinds. So the stakeholders, you could say it's people in all ages living in the rural areas, basically, but you could also expand it to every area, an urban area, whatever. What's working for them in the rural areas will work even better in the urban areas. The specific target group was rural companies and organizations, together with civil servants and local authorities. The hardest people to convince was actually the civil servants and the local authorities. We had some of them was really easy to talk to and got the message very quickly and collaborated well, and that's why we succeeded to do stuff. I think I said that already. Distinguishing characteristics was the user-driven service development, close collaboration between citizen and authorities, small and medium-sized enterprises, and research. And actually we succeeded to build the IT infrastructure and this generic platform as well. And setting up more, we expanded the functionality in the rural service points as well. It's a lot of repetition, it seems like. We had this, what you call the new public eServices app for smartphones, and they all administered by the public-private company, you could say, Innlandet AB. They had one part that was the public side, and then we had some private entrepreneurs that took over the running the company. We had 7 village fiber network associations for high-speed internet, where the people in the village put up 50% and the rest we got from grants and support, economic support. And that was through, we engaged a guy called, we called him the e-pilot that was going around. He was one of the people from the area that people had confidence in. And he more or less locked people in the meeting places and said, you can't go out here before you sign this contract. I'm doing this. And well, it really, I think it's 7 associations was formed, and some more is on the way. We found setting up after that project a political steering group to drive the IT infrastructure agenda inside the local authorities. Set up some environments for rural development as well, and had a conference on participation society with innovation in public sector, international one. So what was the critical success factors? Actually, it was, we had this kind of organizational commitment. We found people within the municipality that was really engaged in this and very positive to this, but depends on, it was people, not the municipality. It was really had to find the people inside to work with them, because it wasn't, you can't say the same about the whole municipality anyway. And we find some very good support in when it was working together with eCoop and Charlie as well. There was next commitments that were really pushing us, telling about this project internationally. We had some resources like external money. We got money from some of the funding organizations in Sweden. We had a lot of local people doing work, some not paid, some from just in-kind work, some paid. With local and external expertise on IT structures, IT services, and consultancy. And we found other types of local competence. We engaged people in ISI, for instance, we could do some kind of experiments with lower grade schools, 10 to 12-year-old kids working with computers, somewhat reluctantly from the school authorities, but they found it worked. So we should be really picked up again. It's happening a lot of things in that area. But then we found this kind of very engaged teachers that was pushing that forward. We had this success. We could use the process improvement and change management through the iterative citizen-driven innovation workshop process as well. Some technical factors. We had good competence on the technical side with IT infrastructure. And we had a lot of good, really good collaboration, public-private, between some people in the municipality with some of the prominent private companies in this business with digital services and IT. We had some national, international collaboration, international through eCoop, national with other regions around. We collaborating with the county of Västerbotten and some others as well. Planning development through a user citizen-centric perspective. It's really focused on the users and the citizen here. What's your problem? What would you like to have been doing? And we planned the stuff out from that and developed it as well, as I've told you before. We were working with workshop with heterogeneous groups. We had interviews with citizens, politicians, companies to find problems and needs. And from that we created should be images. It should be like that in the future, based on those workshop interviews. And then we tried to develop concepts that we tested and prototyped and tested in close interaction with citizens and potential users to get the feedback and see, can we change it so they are more satisfied? Because that goes hand in hand with a successful e-service. It's not that hard to put up a good app or a good e-service. That's not the trick, actually, because the world is full of very good technical e-services and apps that are never used. So the thing is, do something that people want and start to use. Then you have a success, because when you start to use it, then you spread the idea as well that you need to improve or change the society by using digital technology and computers and laptops and whatever. And that is not important. You need a good concept, actually. You have to transform the problems into digital use. So we spent a lot of time talking to people and getting new hints, and we used this. We don't want this. We want this instead. You are on a too high a level. You have to educate us in that. Set up action plans based on that. Test concepts and service prototypes. And then we took those finally resulting prioritized should be images and implemented them as e-services and in the platform, actually. Okay, so the acceptance. This good practice was promoted through viral marketing. We talked to a lot of people. They spread it to the neighbors, and people started asking us about this. We had a web, of course. We had YouTube. We have word of mouth, and we used traditional media like papers. And we succeeded to get it in on both local, regional, and national level as well. And the municipality of Örnsköldsvik at that time got a very good the best municipality in some areas as well. So it went hand in hand with that. We did know we evaluated this by potential users and involved citizens and service and platform developers and different kind of experts. We did no analysis of cost, benefit, or efficiency so far. I don't know how many users there were, but if I remember it right, it was around, when we started it, around 1,000 people. We also we realized to really get an impact on the rural areas, because they're depending on the people come in there. We need to do some efforts for the tourists, so we need to have it in English or in other languages as well. So we started out by translating the whole system to English and showed that to some of the partners in the eCoop, and that was done through through Charlie and the Eco project and the Västernorrland, the county of Västernorrland. Change attitudes. I'll get back to that. It's very important. To get it sustainable, get it to be there, you need an ongoing dialogue between both citizen users and local authorities to really put forward things that changes, because very quickly some of the apps get outdated, e-services. You need to upgrade them and adapt them to what's going on, both technically and society and rules and stuff like that. And you need financial resources with a long-term budget that you can see, and that's probably most important to get the results that you accomplish out from the different organizations and the project out to use in municipalities and stuff like that. That's really a hard thing to do, because it's otherwise, if you don't do that, if you don't follow up that really, and we couldn't do that enough in this project, actually. You should really have an organization to take care of the results and to disseminate them, and not just that, but to really make sure that people get the point and really start using that and spread it to their neighbors as well, their citizens. Another very important thing is the local engagement. Engaged citizens make the difference. If you don't have that, it's hard. You also need human resources. You need support people. You need project leaders that are willing to go out there and to have it like their mission to really get the apps to use. So that would be a message. I think a lot of people agree with me around this table anyway, but to get them out to use, it's very important, because it's a lot of good stuff that's been developed that just isn't used. You need a political commitment. You need to take time to change people's mind. You have to visualize possibilities and potential through constant citizen local authorities dialogue. Somebody has to be there and pick up the needs and the new problems and to fix things. That's what I said before. You need project leader and human resources to do that. It's important to get this kind of set up, these good practices that we're talking about now, and to show good examples and get the press to realize that and get it out to people, both decision makers and citizens, because you have problems with attitudes in both ends. We were doing this, talking to one of the senior associations, and one of the guys said, why the hell should we do this? When this is finished and up and running, I'm already dead. And I said, well, Cal, you can use Skype to get in touch with your grandkids and stuff, and your relatives that moved out of the village. When somebody said, well, that it changed the atmosphere, so everybody was started talking about how they could use actually some simple digital examples to put this forward. Again, key to change. Local people. This can't be made centrally. And recommendation about this, you can use this eSpinn good practice, could be both effective and inspirational for regions with sparsely populated areas. And as I said, it's easy to adapt. It's easy to develop, that you can use it in almost any municipality or any region around the globe. And here you have some kind of further information. The project coordinator from this for eSpinn was Lena Lindström in Örnsköldsvik municipality. I was a project lead. You can ask me if you need more information. You can look at this links eSpinn movie describing the project. And we had another video, YouTube video called describing the eSpinn, the easy project as well. I think there's some information on the UrbanRural Balance project as well, but I didn't find the link. So that's concludes my presentation. Hope you're still awake out there. I don't get any reactions over the net, so it's hard to say. But questions, if you have one, or two, or more.
Thank you, Torben. I think there are some questions forming in the conversation window in the IM part of the screen.
Yeah, it's a question about, can you talk a bit about how the workshop with users were organized? Actually, it started when we went out to some of the villages in the rural areas on the countryside and telling them about the project with our high ambitions of doing this kind of fancy stuff with them. And people said, the first time they said, okay, is this a project, a new kind of project? Yes, I said, and with hope in my eyes and in my head. I said, okay, could you give us some money instead so we can do and buy something good for them? But then we organized, we realized that maybe we have to do something to change their minds. So we took there a person that had switched from ordinary job, daytime job, due to illness, and started to work with web and digital services. And she told them about the transition and how much good it made her and her life. And then suddenly, I think the third time people said, when it was at the same place, okay, we're not that stupid. We realize that we need this kind of technology. We have some problem, though. We have, for instance, I have a small company, too few people to send someone away, because then what we're doing is lacking. We lose money and stuff like that. But on the other hand, we need to be there, because otherwise we lose money anyway. And then from that on, we realized that maybe we should bring in people. So we were talking to people started with one village and started to talk to people, found the local, what do you call it, the burning people that thought that was really important, and then built it around them to really engage people and bring them in, because they thought us some strange creature from the outside world. And then we started to gain confidence as well, so we could start these meetings with both the SMEs and the individuals of different kinds in these villages, and started traveling around with that. And then we invited people on national level, for instance, the what do you call it, when you sell groceries and stuff, from one of the big chains in Sweden, to inform them about different kinds of things. So we had a mix of high-level experts and really people very down to the earth in the villages. And then we kept on doing that and started a network of people that we could use, that the people around on the countryside had confidence for. That was what we did especially with village networks. How's operations now after the project period? Actually, I should really update myself on that. I think it's still in use. It's especially the apps and the web portal are used quite frequently, and they are very satisfied with that. And I think, though, that it should be that we talked about before. Things have happened with the technology, and things have happened with the changing society, and they get more bandwidth and stuff like that. So it should be put some efforts and money and resources into to upgrade the system, because it's a really promising system. It's built very open, so you can switch modules in the eSpinn platform, and so I think it could really need a boost. That's what I was talking about as well, that the problem is to get the message out there that you should really use it. And we try to talk to people about that we need to put more tourist information there, because that's a way to get more and to show what there is to see on the countryside. And this county of Västernorrland really has something fantastic sceneries and stuff like that, and it's going on a lot of interesting activities. So that should be done, actually. But I mean, if you have, you can really use this kind of last slide if you need to. After you thought about this, you can send me a mail, or you can call me, send me a mail. You can see. I recommend look through the movies, and then after that maybe have some more questions. So get in touch. Thank you very much for listening. Been interesting.
Torben, there are still some questions unanswered. There seem to be some problems, so I guess we will just finish the webinar now. I will take those questions and put them in some text. So you might contact Torben and the others via email. So thank you for attending this webinar, and the next one will be in 2 weeks' time. So thanks everyone, and goodbye.